Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see so many people turn up again. I mean, you had me yesterday, I'm here again today, and yet you still come back for more punishment. It must have been too bad. Before I go on to the script, I've written myself a few notes, really to expand on what I heard yesterday. We had an excellent presentation on waste management. We had excellent presentation on real-time information. We had Paul talking about his computer systems. And to me, the one link between all of them was people. Waste management, the program, was driven by people. Without those people, it wouldn't have happened. Real-time information is used to help control and manage people. Paul's management systems, and I'll talk about those a bit more in a moment, they're fantastic. And I'll give you an example in a moment. But at the end of the day, they're dependent upon people. They're only as good as the people. What Rajesh has just said, it's all about people. We're in a people industry. And what I'm going to be talking about now, hopefully, will hope to tie some of that together. Whenever I do these sort of presentations, I don't like to just talk, give anybody theory. I like to try and use some real information. And I'll be showing you an example of information that I gathered from a factory I worked in China. The owner's a friend, so as such I do have permission to use the information, although it doesn't actually put the factory in a good light. Of course, I won't identify the factory. And he told me that he was invited by a customer to a presentation. Well, when a customer invites, it's not actually an invitation, is it? It's, right? You come, right? But one of the interesting things they said was that in talking about getting a competitive edge, getting an edge, the customer said, you cannot get an edge by the use of equipment, because that equipment is available to everybody. If you've got the dollars, you can have the equipment. You can only lose an edge by not using equipment. You cannot get an edge by buying material, because everybody's pretty good at it. And most of the major retailers nowadays, customers, will give you a list of approved customers, or approved suppliers that you have to go and buy from. So you can't get an edge there. The only way you can get an edge is through how you use your people. That's where you get the edge. And that includes supply chain management. If we're looking at some of the things that Paul was talking about there, you can get, by using the people there, using the people in your factory. That's where you get your edge. So it's very much people orientated. And I'll tell you about the factory in China, but let's just say it's a UK company with its design base in the UK. Everything else is based in China. All of the pre-production development and all the manufacturing is in China. Design in the UK. So they have all the problems that Paul was talking about. Time lapse, all the rest of it. And they have just bought a system similar to what Paul was talking about. And they're busy installing it. I'm busy working on the production side, and I see what's going on as they're busy installing. Yeah. And I see my friend, I don't tell him about the production. He's that stressed out trying to implement this computer system. I thought, don't tell him about production, he'll just blow up completely. But I had to in the end. Yes, and it was causing them a lot of pain installing this system, a lot of pain. But, as he said, pain today for gain tomorrow. So he's quite happy to accept it. And I could start to see the benefits coming through. And one of the things I'll be showing you on the production is when we look at the information, you'll see how poorly the production line is working. And one of the reasons was it's a bra production line. And it's making briefs. And the reason it's making briefs instead of bras is because there wasn't a bra style available. And they needed also to produce an order of briefs, because the development had taken that long that the manufacturing had been squeezed just as Paul was saying, been squeezed right down, and they'd had to put the wrong line on the wrong product so they could get it out on time. Right? So it's another benefit, just to reinforce what Paul was saying yesterday. And so as he was talking, I was thinking, ha, yes, been there, seen that. Okay, so I'll now move on, if I can. Okay. So management by intervention, I was talking about yesterday, and I want to expand on yesterday because I'm not sure if everybody here was here yesterday. But it's about using the team. How do you use the I spoke about managing by intervention, but how do you use your team to do it? Managing the 4 M's, manpower, method, materials and machinery. You've got to get the maximum out of those. That's the job of the factory manager. But you've got to drive it by data. You've got to have data. Otherwise, you're just guessing. I think there's something wrong there. You use industrial engineering. They should give you lots of data, information. Hopefully, as well as SMVs, hopefully they'll be giving you standard operation. Hopefully. You use your supervision. You should have a labour cost control system. Your training department should be able to tell you the abilities of those under training. Not that that's a trainee. That's a trainee capable of doing X performance, capable of X number of garments an hour. You have to bring in your QC procedures. It's the manager's job to bring them all together. If he isn't coordinating, it's not going to work. Now, as I said yesterday, I said management by intervention, what I'm talking about, using the team, you won't get it from a textbook. And it's not from any sort of management theory that I know of. It's from my experience of wandering around the globe. No, I won't talk about the corporate seagull. Experience of walking around. Anybody heard of the corporate seagull? No? Flies in, squawks a lot, eats your food, craps all over you and flies out again. Right? So I try not to be a corporate seagull. I come in and try to be a bit more constructive. What I'm doing is from learning by... I'd learned from managing factories. I worked for a company where, as I said yesterday, achieving results was not an option. You either received the results or you had no job. If it was 240 dozen target, you didn't do 239 dozen and 11 twelfths. You did 240. Not pleasant people. That's how I learned that you had to intervene. You couldn't wait till Wednesday to see if you're hitting your target. You had to start hitting your target by 9 o'clock on Monday morning. If you didn't, you were dead. So this is what my philosophy comes from. It's actually achieving in factories. So we move on to labour cost control. Where do I get the information? And you need this. This is, to me, the building block of running a factory. You need a labour cost control system, whether it be manual or computerised. You need the standard minute value. No problem. You need the output figures from your supervisors. Yeah, it's amazing how many people don't actually know how many is being produced by the hour, by the 2 hours, by the day. You need off-standard time from the supervisors. You need performance efficiency utilisation figures. You need salary details. Now, so the example I'm showing, I'm not going to show you salary details. Well, that's a little bit too confidential. Right? But a labour cost control, does it show what went wrong? As we'll be looking at. It should show you what went wrong. My Chinese factory. Here's a labour cost control sheet. Reduced. When I walked in, none of this information was available. I had to go and get it. Right? What does it show? There's a list of operations, the operators, the daily output, standard minute value, performance there, what they achieved as against planned. All right. So, if I look at it, if I look at the first five operations, Some of you are sitting there thinking, God, what a fantastic line. Look at that. And it balanced well. 1,058, 1,060, 1,023. God, what a fantastic balancing. Somebody's good. Shows me they're rubbish. They don't know how to balance a line. They don't know how to run a factory. We go down to the last operation, leg hem. That's one that seems to be a first problem. Here's the second half. So, and the last operation did 729. First operation did 1,058. But this was okay. One was in the factory. Yeah. No concept of management by intervention, of using the team. This was fine. There were operators sitting around idle. That's okay. That happens. That's normal. Not a problem. What's he going on? What's this Westerner going on about? What's the problem? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this. People working slowly. That's okay. We've got high labour turnover. I'm not surprised people get fed up sitting around doing nothing. Yeah. And believe me, the average Chinese worker does not want to sit around doing nothing. It's one thing they don't want to do. They're there to earn money. Right? But it's okay if you've got high labour turnover. It doesn't matter because there's plenty of workers. Not anymore there isn't. They've got a labour shortage. And what was acceptable last year, the year before, is no longer acceptable today. The world's changing. As I said yesterday, if you're achieving results, why am I there? Why are they paying me my $20 a day? Right? I've had a pay rise. It was 15, 20. Right. So what does that thing show? First of all, it showed no off-standard time. Time when the operator isn't working. I don't believe it. Right. That tells me that I asked for this information, nobody knew, nobody recorded, because it didn't matter. It didn't matter if the machine was broken and the operator sat there. It didn't matter if she was waiting for work. So they never recorded it. I know, of course, it was nonsense. I could see people waiting. It tells me which operators are doing less than an acceptable performance, and I've said 85%. How many operators are performing against their planned performance? It shows me how many they're doing. But does it show me why? The answer is yes and no, if you know how to read the figures. Because at the end of the day, this is information gathering. And data is, information gathering is important, it's crucial. But it is also a complete waste of time and money if you don't use the data once you've got it. And to use it, you've got to understand it. So let's go back to this very same information that I gathered. And this time, I've started to use a bit of colour. Obviously, I don't need to explain what the red ones are. Yeah? It's a case of those that I put in as a low performance and those that were planned at a low performance. So that's one part of the team. There's the second part of the team. They're all in the red. I'm not a happy little chappy looking at this production line. Now, I know it's got problems that it's changed product, but it'll happen on style to style. And yesterday I was talking about style change. I'm not going to waste your time or bore you going through each individual operation. You can see the figures. But I'll summarise. 17 operators in the section. So the supervisor's only got 17 operators to manage. Right? Not 30, 40, only 17. 12 of them are performing at less than acceptable. 14 are working at below the planned performance, and there's no off-standard time. So what are we going to do? What are our interventions? What is the team, the management team, which is supervisor, trainer, manager, industrial engineering, quality people working together as a group? What are they going to do? First of all, let's take action on all these low performers. Right? I know the traditional approach. Shake them by the throat, give them a kick. Yeah? Let's give them a verbal kicking. Right? Doesn't work. Right? Should we give them further training? Yes. But have we got any trainers available? Probably no. The traditional training is, and we were discussing this last night over dinner, traditional training is, right, let's find a good operator and get this poor operator to sit by her side and see what she does. Doesn't work. Right? 2 reasons. If I get the good operator sits there, does the work, as per I showed you yesterday, operator B yesterday, if I said to her, what do you do? She'd say, I don't know. Because she does it automatically. She doesn't need to think. She's that good. She does it, she can almost do it in her sleep. She can go to a lower level of consciousness and still do it. Therefore, if I asked her to show another operator what she does, she wouldn't be able to tell them 100% what she does, because she doesn't know all the little bits and pieces that she does. Conversely, I could say to the operator, you watch her. How's she supposed to see what she's doing? 1, she's not trained to watch and see, and 2, she's going too fast. So I can't go back to the good operator and say, slow down, because the moment I say slow down, she'll do it differently, because she's not doing a natural pace, a natural rhythm. So it doesn't work. You have to have a specialist trainer who can take that good operator's method, take it to pieces, teach it piece by piece to the unskilled operator, and have effective instructional skills so she can do it effectively and check that it's working. So that's my little bit about trainers. I'm very passionate about training. So we can give them further training, or we can investigate further. Right? Let's not just kick somebody or throw some training. Let's have a look and see what's really happening. Let's look at the output figures. Let's have a look at the workflow. Let's look at planning. And here, I'm also going to say, as well as output figures, we should look at the methods. Now, I'm going to show you a video, same as I did yesterday. And I'm rattling through at a pace, because I know there's a question and answer session to come. Right, you're thinking, well, why is he going to show us a video? The answer is that I'm a factory manager turned trainer. And when I joined Capit B, which is a training organisation, they taught me how to train. And then one of the things they said is, don't talk for too long as a trainer. You'll lose the audience. Right? Give them, watch their faces. Don't stop. Show them something different. Give them something different. That will revitalise them, and then you can go back to your main theme. Right? So I'm going to show you something that backs up what I've just been talking about. If I can. Let's see if I've shown you the right one first. Now watch this operator. Outside legs in with a pair of jeans. You can see my address is Middle East. Well, some of you are very sharp and look at the pocket of the jean, you'll see she's making a very prestigious jeans retailer. This factory is one of the very few ones that that retailer allows to make those ones. I told you to retail, if you know who it is. Right? Okay. Now, watch the way she sews. Watch your hands. Count the number of sewing beads. One, finish. What do you see now? Here we are, same operation.
لا بيصور واحدة سريعة، هو صور السريعة هناك، بيصور واحدة سريعة.
Do the same trick again. Yep, every time I show this video, this machine comes up. I don't know why. I've never anything else for very good reason. Look around. What's she doing? The work on the screen. She takes the work from the right-hand side behind her, brings it to the machine, sews, and then moves it to the left. Completely wrong. Completely wrong way to go about manufacturing anything. Next one.
There is no mini stop.
She's much slower than the first operator.
Because I told
much slower.
Jalal yesterday to
Going back to what I was
the number of stops.
About the Chinese workers, I could give them a kicking.
And today, mini stop, you see.
Or I could give them
Because
more training.
the regular players to work short.
Giving her a good kicking and shaking her by the throat would not
now
achieve anything. She's working as fast and as well as she can. She's working the wrong method. Okay, so that's just an example of what I was saying about should I give the worker a kicking? It doesn't work. You have to give them the skills and the knowledge to perform effectively. And that is one of the key things where they won't learn. They won't. If an operator is not achieving, it's usually, you want quality, quantity, time out of that operator. You want a quality of work, you want a quantity of work, you want her to do it in a minimum time. If she's not achieving that, do not think she's lazy, she's stupid. If you want outputs from someone, you have to put inputs in. Right? Like any business process. The inputs that the operator wants is a correct machine, one that does what it does, supposed to do, doesn't break continually like that one. She wants a correct amount of work, which is what we're going to be discussing. She needs skill and she needs knowledge. If she's not achieving, you assume at least one of those four is wrong, and then go about putting it right. And that's what we're looking at. So that's what we're going to be doing now. Those operators, those low-performing operators, and that operator I've just shown you there, there's no point in pushing them for targets. They're doing what they can, or we think they can. If you improve method, if you improve workflow, then you'll start to do that. But to do that, you have to bring the team together, and this is the theme of my concept now. You need the manager to lead the team. You need the supervisor there, controlling. Do you need QA to make sure that they're doing it, and QC to make sure they're doing it correctly? Do you need the trainer to show them how to do it? Do you need industrial engineering there? As a team, they can work together and start to improve. Using one on its own won't happen. You have to bring a team together, and that's the role of the manager, to intervene, to actually act as coordinator. You can't expect him to do it all. And yesterday I gave production guys a bit of a going over, but really I'm on your side. Yeah? I've been in your shoes, I've done it. So I'm saying that the manager should lead, he should collate his resources and people together. Let's go back to this factory. If we look at the third column, expected hourly output. This is expected hourly output. It is not a wish list. This has been decided by someone seeing the actual ability of the operator. Not what they've done before in the past, that's irrelevant. What they can do now. Just because somebody did 50 an hour last week doesn't mean you plan them for 50 an hour now. There were other factors that there may be other factors that restrict them to 50 an hour. Get a stopwatch out, cycle time. How many can they actually do an hour? Okay. And this is what these are based on. So we found out that our join top operator can do 96 an hour. Anticipated. She actually did 208. She's beat it. Good for her. Great. But she's a high performer. Let's try the next one and the next one. Expected hourly output. Overlock gusset. Expected hourly output, 180. She's capable of doing 180 an hour. In 2 hours, between 8 and 10, she does 197. She's working at about half her capacity. Right. Go give her a slap. But if you look at the operation before, that from 8 till 10, the elastics did 203 in 2 hours. So the next operation, overlock gusset, received 203. I can't go and give her a slap for only doing 197, can I? She's done what she's been given within a couple. Maybe there's another problem. Maybe somebody's not very good at planning lines. We're wasting a lot of waste management. We're wasting people. We're wasting people resources here because we're not capable of planning a factory. And the same thing goes all the way down. And this is just basic information that should be available. It shows the daily production, but you see it's done every 2 hours. Now, once again, collecting the information takes time. And it's a waste of time if someone just collects it and puts it on a form and does nothing with it. If they start to use it and understand it, it's a valuable tool. And this is when I said yesterday about the presentation on real-time management. This information would be readily available immediately to a supervisor. But if you can't afford that, let's go back to basics. Every 2 hours, just collect it. And to me, it's a great tool because if you tell the supervisor to go around and collect information every 2 hours, it forces her every 2 hours to go around and talk to every operator. It gives the operator the opportunity to talk to the supervisor. What problems have you got? Are you okay? What's going on? Right. Instead of the operator just sitting there, getting fed up, and the supervisor not knowing. And so let's go back, some looks at those first operations. The first 6 operations were all doing the target. Target was 1,000, they're all doing 1,000 plus. Right. So that gives the impression of the line being balanced, when in reality it isn't. It gives the impression of being balanced because they're all doing pretty much the same output. The truth is that the first operation is now controlling every other one. Whatever they receive, they do, no matter what performance. So how can we work on the low performers? We have this information that people are low performers. How can we go and work on them if they're doing everything they receive? I've got an operator capable of 100 an hour. I can go and improve her so she can do 160 an hour. But if she still receives 100 an hour, what's the point? All you're doing is wasting your time and annoying her. Oh, sorry, throat's going, and that's despite the application of Kingfisher beer last night. It's still going. There'll have to be more Kingfisher tonight. Thank you. No, vodka? Straight vodka, that's all right. Thank you. Right. If I don't expect you to be able to remember all of the operations, but I can assure you that the hem legs was the first operation that was not hitting its target. I think it did about 800 as against 1,000. All 4 operators were doing the same-ish output. Well, about a 44, 45 performance. That should set alarm bells going in here. I remember yesterday I said alarm bells. The team should be thinking. Now, is that collusion? Have they all got their heads together and said, oh, hang on, let's only do so many an hour? Yeah? Yeah. As I said, I had a sewing operator for a mother. I know all the tricks. She's told me them all. I married a sewing operator. She's told me a few more tricks as well. So I know I'm inside their head. They don't have any secrets from me. But maybe they've got a problem. Maybe there's some sort of quality problem that's forcing them to do this low output. We don't know, and we don't assume. We go in, we use the team to find out. Also, they're all planned. These are the planned efficiencies are low. Maybe they're all new to the job. In reality, they were. And it's actually worse than that when we get to the point. But the key is, once we've spotted that the hem legs was a problem area, we intervene. We get the team to do things. We treat it as a priority because it's controlling the rest of the line. We cycle time to establish the capabilities of the operators. We target them to those capabilities. You only target an operator to what they can do, not what you want them to do. Target them to what they can do, and if that's not enough, then you expand their capabilities through training them, looking at method. That's why I've been showing you the good method, bad method. You use the trainers to improve those abilities. You should retarget them continually, hourly. If you can see that they can do 56 this hour, set them for 56. The trainer works on them and says, I think she can do 60 an hour. Right, now I want 60. You target them. Don't target them daily, hourly. Push, push, push. And you use your team, the industrial engineers as supervisors, to balance the workflow. The moment you increase their abilities, you've got to go back and check your balance. I always say I train trainers, and I always say their main mission in life is to upset the production balance. That's their key role in life. Because if the line's balanced, and they go and then go to a trainee that's doing 80 an hour and get them up to 110 an hour, they've disrupted the balance, haven't they? Great, that's what I want. Forces a supervisor to go back and rebalance. Let's keep going. When the hammers are approaching the target, when they can do the 1,000 that they're receiving, go back to the whole line, start again. Let's have a look at rebalancing the line, because now we want to give them even more, and even more, and even more. So we've got to start looking at the other low-performing operators. But we know who they are, because we're getting our daily information. And we improve them. We keep the whole circle going, continual improvement. And monitor. You use the team to monitor. If you're using the trainer and the industrial engineer to train, use the supervisor to monitor. Use the supervisor to feed back how many are being done. Conversely, the trainer must be constantly giving feedback to the supervisor of how many the people are capable of. It's continual information. It's a team job. Now, like I said, let's have a look. Hem legs is a standard operation. We talk about style change. 80% of operations constantly appear in other styles. If you're making a dress, it doesn't matter what style you're making, 80% of the operations will keep on reoccurring. There's variations, of course. Now, there's umpteen variations of sleeve that need to be put in, but the same operations occur. Now, hemming legs in a briefs factory is a standard operation. I said this was a bra line that had been converted onto hemming legs. Rather than retraining all these people on hemming legs, you've got to remember the supervisor has done the line. The supervisor works in her own little bubble. She knows what happens in her line. She has no idea what's happening in the rest of the factory. Somebody else should do. The manager should do. The industrial engineers should have a skills inventory of who can do what. Rather than retraining all of these people, Had other lines got spare hemmers, experienced hemmers about that they could have done? Nobody thought of this. And if you say to the operator, I can train you on a new job, because it's a new style, but obviously on a new style, your incentive earnings are going to drop a bit, or you can go onto that line and do hemming legs on that line and maintain your incentive. I know what she's going to say. I've got my bag, I'm going. Right? Isn't she? Because she's interested in this. She's interested in money. No one in the team had actually collaborated. So I would get industrial engineering to keep this sort of information and collaborate. Use as supervisors to monitor. Make sure the quality staff know exactly what, that the operators know what the quality standards are. But it's the manager coordinating. So what does the man... Okay, time. 5 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay, so I'm just about done actually. Yeah. So we demand management information. Demand actions are taken. You've got to intervene. The manager should go walkabout. Talk, question, watch, listen, see what's going on. Make notes, ask for questions. Very quickly, there's 17 operators on the team. There were 7.17 standard minutes a garment, and the target was 1,000. To quote, come back, to do the target, the line had to work at a 64% efficiency. The actual planned operator efficiency was 73%. So they're planning the operators to work at less than their capability. Well, don't complain if they do less than their capability then, will you? You're restricting them. Do not allow low targets. Intervene. And you should not wait to the end of the day. It should have been obvious after 2 hours that there was problems with this line, and someone should have been starting to intervene. Right, so, but the manager will say to me, and this is a very important one, my supervisors and production managers, they don't have the time or they're not capable of doing it. Well, my answer to that is, well, whose fault's that? Who's restricted them? Who hasn't trained them? Who hasn't developed them? Who's kept them down? And then you say that they can't do it. Whose fault is it? It's yours. You're the leader. It's your job. If you can't do it, bring in someone like the gentleman to my left. He'll train them for you. And this is what I said yesterday. Supervisors are as good as the manager, and the manager's as good as the supervisor. And all of them are only as good as the results they get. So I will skip through the 2 hourly figures. It's a summary. Things do not just happen in a factory. You can't leave a production line to just happen. You've got to make it happen, use all your resources, develop people, intervene, but create the resources, and by resources I mean human resources, to enable you to do so. Human resources, good supervisors, good line managers if you want, good IE staff, good trainers. With them you'll be okay. Thank you. Is that my 3 minutes?